Hello? Hello? Hopefully this works. I do not want to re-record it. Turn the volume down. Hello? Hello? Hello, and welcome to the second episode of the Dankomemer Podcast. My mom said I have a tendency to ramble. So I'm going to try and talk better. But I was already going to try and talk better. So, yeah, welcome. Welcome back, guys. I don't know why you would click on this video. It's just me sitting in my basement. Nothing really too shocking is going to come out of here. Except I do think a lot. But anyway, first of all, I want to thank everybody for all the positive feedback I got on the last episode. It was nice. It was definitely way more than I expected. And yeah. So anyway, that made me really happy. And thank you. Thank you for the support. And yeah, I'm going to keep doing this. I know it's been like 3 weeks now since I did it, but this thing's just getting started, like the lighting is really crappy. I don't know, there's lots of things that I want to make better about this podcast, and it's still really early days, and so I don't really care if I go off for a bit. And like I said, I'm never going to do a podcast unless I want to do a podcast. Now, I do think over time, these are going to become more consistent as I start putting more into it. But whatever, I'm here now, I'm doing it. We get to hang out. I just teleported into your living room, and we get to hang out. Be comfy and hydrate. So, anyway, I wanted to play. So I was like, Oh, yeah. Also, Chris D'Elia said that he has a funny podcast. He's like, I don't do anything until I regret not doing it. And I started to regret not doing the podcast, and so here we are. Oh, yeah.
Do it! Just do it! Don't let your dreams be dreams. Yesterday, you said tomorrow. So just do it! Make your dreams come true! Just do it! Some people dream of success while you're gonna wake up and work hard at it. Nothing is impossible. You should get to the point where anyone else would quit, and you're not gonna stop there. No, what are you waiting for?
Anyway, I'm doing it.
Do it!
So this podcast is about dank memes and about me, because I'm the host. But, eventually if I die or like if I quit, the reason I didn't call it like the Jordank podcast was because I like the idea of the Dankomemer and always like going through the dankest memes. So there might come a time when I move on from this and I do something else, but the Dankomemer hopefully will live on because it's an idea. It's not me. I am not, I am not the sole owner of the Dankomemer. It's an idea that I think is common to everybody. It's just good ideas. It's just like sifting through all the ideas and words and then picking all of the best ones. And so that's what this is about, and that's what I hope it will continue to be about. But also, personal memes, I think it's entertainment. Like people like hearing personal stories about people, and whoever's hosting on the show, you can just talk about dank memes, but like your life should be made of dank memes. If your life isn't made up of dank memes and you talk about yourself, it will be boring. But then you probably won't be on the show because the show is the Dankomemer. So we'll have people on the show who have dank memes and lives that like contain lots of dank memes. Anyway, so no matter what you're doing, so I guess I'll recap. So in the last episode of the podcast, I talked about how I want to follow the highest moral principle, which is what AKA God means. I mean, obviously nobody's perfect, but like that's what I'm going to try to do. I'm going to try to follow, like I'm going to do it. I'm going to follow the highest moral principle, and that is AKA God. That's the meaning of God, apparently, according to Jordan Peterson. So anyway, so God equals the highest moral principle, and the highest moral principle, in my opinion, is reducing suffering. So I'm going to basically structure my life around reducing suffering, but then it's like the obvious first question is, how do you reduce suffering? Like, or maybe, what is the best way to reduce suffering? And so I went about trying to answer these questions myself, and I looked around the world, and I was like, I wonder what the greatest sources of suffering are. And I think I definitely did some Google searches. Anyway, so I ended up looking at like anti-aging as a significant source of suffering. Like there's this company, Cerule, who is naturally... So anyway, I want to become an affiliate with like anti-aging companies. Cerule is really interesting because they're boosting stem cells, but I don't have an affiliate partnership, so I won't talk about that much, right? But CERULE.com. You can check it out yourself. They naturally boost stem cells with this blue algae extract. And yeah, so I'm going to hopefully get involved with that. But I don't know. I'm just going to kind of ramble my brain, like the thoughts that have been in my head recently. And I mean, they're all plans kind of and like ideas, and like just like related to me either like expanding my awareness or like potentially making money in the future or reducing suffering. So yeah, anti-aging, if you can naturally boost stem cells, you're like, especially as you get older, you can like your body heals significantly better. So anyway, look into that and keep watching the podcast because I'm going to be selling that stuff in the future. And I don't know where I want to go next. I mean, like, I want to talk about QAnon, so hashtag QANON. If you look at that, then you'll see a bunch of crazy shit about, like, conspiracies and stuff. But also, it's, like, military intelligence basically, like, dropping info on, like, criminal networks that they're trying to dismantle. But it's, like, there's all these criminals out there, but the criminals at the highest levels are paying off the media to, like, not report on their crimes. And it's, like, it's insane how bought off the media is these days. So anyway, I kind of want to talk about that. But first, I want to talk about, like, how I'm going to tackle the anti-aging problem, because I think it's kind of interesting. I mean, I study, like, in any field, I think, in any, like, scientific field, or any, like, really anything. If you want to do anything, I think you need to understand what's happening. Like you need a full explanation of what is happening in order to, like, fully take advantage of the situation. Like, you know, if you didn't know how a car worked, you wouldn't be able to improve a car as well as you would be able to if you did know how a car worked. Hello? Hello? What's up? Ginger beef? Yeah, heck yeah. Okay. Bye. Father is getting Chinese food. Awesome. Whatever. I'm gonna keep it in. I don't want to reshoot this. So what was I talking? Oh yeah. So if you wanna improve things, I think you have to understand, like, how they work. So it's like, so if I wanna improve, or like, wow, my hair is fantastic. Anyway, so if I want to improve anything, I think I need to understand it, and so I think I finally fully understand, like, reality, like physics, like, you know, it's like, okay, so your body is aging. As time progresses, you are aging. Okay, Mr. Science Man, well, what is time? Anyway, I think I know what time is. I think time is the passing of magnitudes. Just like everything is force in motion and inertia and acceleration. Or everything is like pressure mediation. So that's like the fundamental nature of everything. It's either like radiating or it's either diverging or converging. Like that's the most fundamental nature of reality. So if you're working on anti-aging, you're going to want to understand what exactly aging is and the way. So aging happens to your body over time. But what is time? Most people, I don't think anybody really has a coherent definition of time and like how nature progresses through time. But I do, I think. So, because everything follows a phi ratio. Like everything you see is quote unquote magnetism. So, so this is all to reduce suffering by explaining aging and explaining the universe in the process, because the same processes that are evolving the universe are the same processes that are aging your body, most likely. Okay. So anyway, so there is a point to this discussion, and that point is reducing suffering. And the reason I'm doing this, this is where I'm going with my life. Like I said, I want to become an affiliate for Cerule. I want to sell that. I'm going to start a store. It's a very special store. So I'm going to start a store. And this is going to be one of my products is Cerule. But then if I'm going to improve Cerule, like if they're boosting stem cells, it's like, well, then how exactly is this algae extract boosting stem cells? Don't you think that'd be like a good question to ask? Oh yeah, and this is kind of like why I want to ask. I should get into Q. So QAnon. This is a good place to get into Q, I'll tell you what. So QAnon has been one of the most meaningful things in my life because Q started. Doesn't really matter. Q is this thing that started online by asking questions, basically, like really good questions. And he signed every post that he posted with Q at the end. And I was like, well, you ask questions and then you sign it with Q. Why are questions so important? And then I was like, trolling around 8chan looking for just information, and somebody said that questions are like Google, because Google is, you ask Google questions every time you search. It's like, hey, what is the answer to this search? You query and then response, and then that same process is occurring in your brain, and Google is like and apparently that's your pineal gland, but I don't know, whatever. So anyway, that process is occurring in your brain, and then Google is doing that same process for the entire world, I would say. And so that gives them a lot of power. That's kind of like how I understand them. So it's questions. So, like, when you're talking, like, I'm going to see, right now I'm using my voice, and, like, people are going to view this and hear my words, and then those words are going to, but anyway, so I know that my words are going to travel and have a little bit of power. And I think it's important to go slowly and just making sure I'm not clipping on my audio. No, I'm good. It's important to go slowly, like word by word, and like really make sure the meanings are correct and ask questions like every step of the way. And that's what Q taught me, basically, to like pick apart every single word and ask questions about every single word and the meaning of every single word. And that's how you have like a coherent picture of reality, at least as coherent as you can possibly get it. Because we're all trying to describe reality accurately, I think. Unless you're like an evil person, then you lie about everything. But the point of this, like I said, is truth. And also I want attention, of course, like everyone. So, oh yeah, and I can't monetize the attention yet unless you go to the Patreon in the description and give me money, please. But whatever, I'm doing this. It doesn't matter. You can do that if you want. So what was I getting at? Oh yeah, aging. Questions. So the question here And there's always questions. If you're thinking about stuff, there's always questions and answers. So the question here is, what exactly is aging? And if you want to reverse it, I think you'd need to understand first exactly what it is. But, I mean, maybe you can create new stem cells and then just replace the old stem cells, or the old cells once they're dead. Maybe we can, grow stem cells in a lab, and then it doesn't really matter how the cells age, you can just replace them. So we're reducing suffering by anti-aging. And, I mean, obviously we already have one way that we can add stem cells, and that will help a lot. It will boost stem cells, and that will help people significantly. And then you can take that money and hopefully fund some research into it and grow the business a little bit. But, I should also, and then another question is, how exactly does the algae boost stem cells? But I wonder what's better, reversing aging in the cells in your body? What's better and what's easier? What is the best method to reduce suffering through anti-aging treatments? Is it A, reversing the cells, the aging in the cells in the body, or is it introducing new stem cells to replace the old cells? I really don't know. Can you reverse time? I mean, now I know what time is. I don't think you can reverse it. The guy that I'm studying from said that you can't. You can slow it down. But I don't know. I really don't know. But I mean, there's other anti-aging, getting rid of senolytic cells. That's another thing I'm looking into. But anyway, I spent a lot of time understanding the most fundamental nature of the universe. And it's basically just pressure mediation. It's pretty simple, actually. But I mean, it is pressure mediation, but then it's how does the pressure mediation occur? And pressure mediation between what? But, and I'm working on a generator. There's this guy that's making coils. He has this structure thing that you can wind copper coil around to make a toroidal coil. And anyway, him and I are collaborating kind of. He didn't know that you're supposed to rotate a permanent magnet in the center of the Rodin coil to create current. So anyway, I'm excited about that. We might be able to create a new generator with hopefully significantly higher efficiencies. And he already has the coil made. He just has to rotate the magnet in there to test. All he has to do is spin a magnet in there and see if there's an AC current generated, because he already has the coil. So that's pretty exciting. Hopefully I can attach that to my e-bike and make a hover bike. I don't know. We'll see if it works. I mean, QAnon's cool. You should look into him. It's a global movement of awakening. It's basically telling everybody to ask questions about life, basically. How life works, how your society works. Taxes. Do you think taxes are fair? Do you think the government is treating us fairly right now? How can we fix it? These are all questions, and they were inspired in me because of Q, really. He refocused my whole brain around questions. So now I just ask questions all the time. And I learn a bunch. It's my brain is a million times more organized. So the important question to me right now is, how can I maximize the amount of suffering that I reduce on the planet? Be it my own, be it yours. And I mean, hopefully I get compensated for reducing the suffering. I mean, we're all reducing suffering in our own way when we go to our jobs. So kudos to you. I mean, unless your job's completely pointless. Some people, whatever, it doesn't matter. If you're getting paid, it's probably because you're reducing suffering in some way. So, but what's the best way to do that? I mean, I know I should just go get a job. But I mean, this is going to be an hour every week? I mean, whatever, I got time. So this is where I'm at in my life. I'm hoping I can make a bunch of money with because I think aging, like old people, gerontology, like, and the boomer generation is aging, so there's going to be a lot more old people, and I think old people suffer the most. So those are the people that I want to help, because I think I want to help the people who need it the most. But I also want to help Canadians because I'm in Canada. But I'm not opposed to like helping everybody. You see, because like I want to reduce suffering, but also what I really love to do is innovate. Like I always just like see something and I'm just like immediately, how can I make that better? So I want to innovate. So I want a hover bike, and I'm working on the new generator thing right now. I want a hover bike. I want a better e-bike. I want like a flying saucer. VR is cool, but like that's what I mean. I'm always looking at like the cutting edge of what's coming out, because it's just so interesting. It's so cool to see what's happening, and hopefully I can play some part in that sphere in the future, because that's what I really want to do, because I want cooler and cooler and cooler stuff. Like I'll probably be happy when I get like a hover bike or like a flying saucer bike thing, like just something that I can like rip across the entire planet or like galaxy with. That would be cool. I want that. And I think it's attainable. I think like the stuff in the classified military programs is like, it's going to come out eventually. But if it doesn't come out, I'm going to bring it out. I'm going to do it myself. But it's going to be a long journey. But I'm like, dude, this guy, his coils, man, like I was like, holy cow, dude. He's like a godsend. Because that would have, to match the quality, it would have taken me like a year at least, probably, to make that thing. So yeah, thanks to that dude, 3-Phase Magnetics. You should give him a follow. He's got some good designs. You can make your own coil, but I'm gonna test it and see if it works. So we got that, and oh man, that's a good question. I just thought of that question on the podcast. What would be better, the stem cells or reversing the cells? New stem cells or reversing the aging of the cells? Like, I don't even know if it's possible to reverse the aging of a cell. What is the aging of the cell? Well, we know it's the passing of magnitudes. It's like it's the creation of magnetism as the loss of inertia. So that's what aging is. It's like the reciprocation of the magnetic field. Whatever, it doesn't matter. It's just, everything you see is magnetism, and it's diverging. Okay, so the ether, that's what I was going to say. The ether, it's all ether. So I'm talking about magnetism and dielectricity right now, but both of those things, so the ether has not been disproven. Remember when we were taught the ether was disproven by the Michelson-Morley experiment? Nah, it wasn't. What happened was that it actually wasn't. I looked at it. Anyway, maybe, I can't explain it right now, but I definitely looked at the experiment, and I was like, okay, yeah. No, there's definitely room here for the ether. So, the ether is real. I don't care if you believe me, but this is how I'm going to understand aging. So, come along if you want. So I think the ether is real, and there's two fundamental ether modalities. There's magnetism and dielectricity. And the magnetism is everything you see. Everything you see is magnetism, because magnetism is divergence. But it's divergence, and it's also the creation of space. So magnetism is divergence and the creation of space. Dielectricity is convergence and the voidance of space, like literally deletion. And both of them, though, are unified in that they're all ether. So they're all one thing. It's all the universe. So aging is the emanation or the divergence of magnetism, which is balanced out. So it's divergence, which is balanced out by the convergence and voidance. So the creation divergence is balanced out by the convergence and voidance. And it's so another term for dielectric. I don't want to confuse you with too many terms. Dielectricity is the absence of space. So it doesn't actually exist. It's like the voidance. It's the name of the voidance, or the movement towards voidance, I guess. Could be also, like if yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all the same thing. But the point is, there is a process of that governs the divergence of the magnetic field, and that is via pressure mediation. So it turns out that, like, it's all one, and the divergence is like, there exists such a pattern of divergence of a line. I know this sounds crazy, that will equal 1 and also be like, it's equal to 1, but it's like we're equal to 1. Everything that we see right now is equal to 1. And it's like the lowest pressure mediation possible. But it's like, the way that it works is that to solve this problem of equaling 1, but also being like the experience we see today, it's a problem that has no answer, and so it just keeps going. It's incommensurable. Why was I talking about this? So ether, that's aging. So it's like we are living in an incommensurable divergence / convergence of the ether, you could say. And there's a structure to the divergence which follows a ratio of 1 to phi. And 1 is to phi as phi is to 1. So phi is equal to 1, but phi is an irrational number that goes on forever. So if you say 1 is equal to phi and phi is equal to 1, you're saying that 1 is equal to some irrational concept, which is actually the foundation for our existence. And that's what aging is. That's what time is. Time is the passing of these magnitudes following the pressure mediation of the, like, lowest, I want to say lowest possible divergent, lowest possible, I don't know. Point is that this divergence / convergence follows ratios of phi. And so if you're looking at aging, you can see how the structures are evolving at the most fundamental layer if you recognize that the most fundamental layer of the universe is magnetism, and and it follows that pattern. So you have like a key. It's like you had a locked door that was like, what is this process that is aging the cells in the body? You know, like, it's like aging happens over time. The cell gets old, but like, what is causing that? Well, time is causing it, but what is time? What is the evolution of time, and what is like what is the fundamental layer or like pattern? So anyway, the answer is phi. Basically, everything follows ratios of 1 to phi. So, like, if you look at a permanent magnet, under like the fields of a permanent magnet, the magnetic boundary of the fields will be a phi ratio of the radius of the magnet. Yeah. So anyway, so it follows a phi ratio, but that's not the only reason it follows a phi ratio. Like, if you want to learn more about this, go view Theoria Apophysis's videos on YouTube. He has books. He also has a book called Uncovering the Secrets of Magnetism, and he has an article called Plato. I'll link this crap in the description, actually. I'll link it. Metaphysics stuff in the description. You can go check it out for yourself, because I don't want to get too long-winded here explaining this, because I don't fully understand it yet. But I do understand it enough to apply it to aging, for example, but also every single field you can possibly imagine, because like I said, if you want to make anything better, I think you need to understand what you're dealing with first. And I'm not sure anybody really knows what anything is. Like if I say, hey man, what's happening right now? Like what is really happening? Like you're alive, you're in a human body, right? You're here. But like things are changing, you know, like you can, right? You can do things with your body and stuff. And it's like, what the fuck? How is this happening? You know, like what? Like really? Like what is that? Oh, things just happen. Like it really is simple, but it's also complex at the same time. It's, I don't know, whatever. The question. That's why I don't want to make any call bullshit on everything I say. I'm stupid. I don't care. But questions. That's because I exist mostly in the questions. I care mostly about the questions. So the question is, what is magnetism? What is time? What is aging? How do you move your hand? What's the nature of consciousness and existence? How does your brain work? How do your muscles flex? How does the power get into your TV from the power lines? How does the energy get stored? How is the sun creating energy? Because the sun goes into the ground, like the plants, and then the plants make oil and stuff, and we use oil every day. Well, how does the sun get energy? How does everything work? And I think if we understand how it works, if we had a stream, imagine 1,000 years ago we had a stream, and then one day it runs out, and we're like, well, maybe we should have figured out where the stream came from initially. So, in the same way, we're using oil, but the oil energy comes from the sun. Maybe we should figure out how the sun creates energy. And I think I have figured it out. There's unlimited potential in the loss of the dielectric inertial plane, because it's pressure mediation, and if there's nothing, then you know what? I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about fully. But I can't explain it in any way that does it justice. So I don't really know. But I did give you in the description the link where you can go read it yourself. I have spent hours trying to understand this material, and I really do think it makes sense, more than anything I've ever heard about, the beginning of the universe and, the structure of, reality. So, and I do understand it good enough to apply. And I'm just repeating myself now. Is there any new stuff I want to talk about? I could just ramble on about Q, but what it really comes down to is, every vote counts. And we really need to pick the right people. And yeah, I don't know. I have this is not really that high on my priorities list right now, but I'm doing it to share some of my life right now, what I'm thinking about, and I don't want to bore you guys. I've been really involved in U.S. politics more than I should be. I'm going to start getting more involved in Canadian politics. I have some long-term plans. We'll see if they manifest. I need help, I need attention, I need funding, but I'm going to start the store. And then you guys can get good products and then, and support me. And, yeah. Oh, and I'm working on music too, still. It's fun. I'm getting better. Getting better. And it's fun. I like dancing. I like making music. I'm working on some. I'll release it if it ever sounds good enough. I gotta be top notch to release it. I have a cool name and stuff. If you ever want me to DJ a party, I will do that for you. And